So I'm on a mission to answer more of your questions in these videos. And Debbie wrote in with this. She says, Kate, would I ever be able to control my drinking so that it's just a glass of wine when I go out for dinner? And I thought that was a great question. And I know that dream of having just one glass in a restaurant used to be mine as well. In fact, when I was trying to decide what to do about my drinking, I could kind of get on board with being sober most of the time, but there were a few things that I just couldn't imagine doing without alcohol, and that included dinners in nice restaurants, travel, and special celebrations. So in an ideal world, I wanted to become a take it or leave it drinker who still got to drink in those moments. So can you do that? And if so, how? Well, I'm going to answer that question by telling you about a book that I read ages ago called Almost Alcoholic. It's about 15 years old now, but at the time it came out, people weren't really talking about grey area drinking. You were just a normal drinker or a raging alcoholic. And things like the sober school obviously didn't exist back then. So even though the book talks a lot about AA and 12-step programs, I felt at the time that the almost bit of almost alcoholic was describing me. So most of the book is about the things that you'll need to work on if you're going to become this rare social drinker, such as learning to manage stress better, changing some of your routines, and creating a support system. And I remember reading through this book really quickly, thinking, okay, if that's what it takes, I can do that, I can do that. But then, right at the end of the book, it says, before you deploy any of the strategies we've spoken about, you will need to begin by taking a 90-day complete break from drinking. And I remember reading that part, it's right at the end, and thinking, what? So the book was great until that point, but I just thought there's no way I'm doing that. So I put the book down in disgust and then ignored everything I'd read. But the funny thing is, I now look back on that and think, actually, that was rock solid advice. Because if your goal is to be a take it or leave it drinker, then you need to practice leaving it for a good long while. You need to build up that muscle like you would if you were working out in the gym. You've got to build that sober muscle first. And you also need to give yourself time to work on fixing some of the things that have got you drinking in the first place. Your drinking, to be brutally honest, is usually filling in a gap for something that you're missing or a skill that you don't have. And that's what we work on inside my Getting Unstuck coaching program. So I invite women to come and take a 6-week break with my support, build up those missing skills, and change the way that they think about alcohol. And in case you're wondering why it's only 6 weeks, it's because I know that's way less intimidating than 90 days. And an intensive program like mine means that people can progress much faster anyway. But will I provide help and support to get someone to 90 days if they want that? Absolutely, of course. So whatever you do, you have got to start by taking a complete break from drinking and taking alcohol off the table for a bit. Really, you've got to do that. Do the mindset work, build yourself up, work on yourself. Like I said, the chances are you have some kind of skills gap in some area, which is why drinking is seeming so appealing as this coping mechanism and like such a great fix. So back to Debbie's question. If you really do all that work that I've described and you've taken this good long break from drinking and you're feeling great because physically you're going to be feeling the best you felt in ages, and you've got all these other ways of coping with big feelings now because you've done that work and developed those skills, and you're managing your day better and really taking good care of yourself, and you've done your research and your myth busting, so You know what alcohol does and doesn't have the power to do. You can see through those illusions and you don't feel that you're missing out on anything. And you've given yourself time and space to form new habits and reset your neural pathways. Well, then the question isn't really, can you have one glass of wine with dinner? It's more, why would you want one glass of wine with dinner? And that's where I'm at these days. The reason I don't drink anymore is genuinely because I can't see the point in it. I can't see what alcohol would do for me. I can't even stand the smell of it, to be honest. When I'm out with other people and I catch a whiff of what's in their glass, that just doesn't appeal to me anymore. But I can't believe I'm saying that. I wouldn't have believed that was possible back in the days when I was slamming that book shut because I thought it was so outrageous that it has suggested I should stop drinking for such a long time. So things change. And here's the other thing. If we were talking about smoking here and someone had stopped smoking for 90 days and then they said, well, you know what? Now I think I'm going to be a social smoker. Just every once in a while, after a nice dinner or on a special occasion, I'm going to light a cigarette. What would you say? I think you and I would probably pull a little bit of a face at each other and think, I don't know. I don't think that's going to work out that well for you because smoking is addictive. And we'd be wondering, I don't know if they could really just smoke occasionally. It's not completely impossible, of course, but it might be quite hard to manage that, to stick to that, to play the mental games around it and really stop at one. And personally, I kind of see that happening with alcohol as well. I quite often work with women who have actually stopped for quite a while in the past, and then they've gone back to drinking just a bit, but then over time, the drinking creeps up again. Or it might be that for them, trying to stop at just one drink is taking up so much effort, energy, and headspace that it's really tiring for them. To be brutally honest with you, that is what I see in people over longer periods of time. And it's not a bad thing, it's not shameful, it's not failure. I really believe that for a lot of people, experiencing this is part of figuring out what's going to work for you. The main thing I want you to get from this video is that there is a way out of this that feels good. Your choice is not drink and be miserable or stay sober and be miserable. There is a way of doing this that leaves you feeling so good you don't even want a glass of wine with dinner. And that's the really good place to be in. That really feels like winning. All right. I'd love to hear what you think about this in the comments. And if you've got a question that you would like me to answer in one of these videos, go ahead and let me know.